Coming up on News 2, the VI Bureau of Corrections Director responds to media reports regarding the Federal Monitor's report on conditions at the Golden Grove Adult Correctional Facility. What's the state of the tourism industry? A meeting of the minds is held this week as hundreds of tourism industry experts and officials gather from all around the world. Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast tonight, Wallaby Hospital officials heard from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Wednesday, and the news is not good. CMS advised hospital executives that JFL is no longer eligible to participate in CMS's program, and the CEO recorded a message for the public. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Juan Luis Hospital is losing its CMS certification.
I would like to inform you of a letter I received from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, on Wednesday, September 17th, in which I was informed that the Governor Juan F. Luis Hospital and Medical Center will no longer qualify to participate in its Medicare and Medicaid program beginning on October 9th, 2014.
Interim CEO Dr. Kendall Griffith said he's already told the governor and other political leaders, and they've been strategizing to make sure the hospital's doors stay open. Juan Luis Hospital has struggled when it comes to inspections from the federal agency. Most recently, CMS inspectors paid a surprise visit to JFL last month. Dr. Griffith, in his statement to the public, said the hospital does plan to appeal CMS's decision.
All of us have been engaged in discussions as it relates to the JFL's response and appeal of this matter. I can assure the people of St. Croix that I and the staff at the hospital will never give up on our responsibilities to you, and we will eventually overcome this decision.
The loss of certification from CMS is a heavy blow for the hospital. JFL officials weren't available to provide the numbers, but a majority of the hospital's income is dependent on the federal agency's reimbursement.
Fellow Virgin Islanders, I can assure you that CMS's decision to discontinue participation with JFL does not in any way reflect the true and accurate picture of the hospital's current operating conditions.
We don't know exactly what this decision means for the hospital's future, but officials will have answers during a press conference tomorrow. Reporting from outside JFL, I'm Erica Parsons for News 2.
Now, hospital officials say the decision doesn't impact the hemodialysis unit. News 2 will bring you more details on CMS's decision to pull out from the hospital in tomorrow's newscast. The Department of Health is continuing its outreach to prevent the spread of chikungunya. On Friday, the St. Thomas office will be closed. Instead, the health department's staff will hit the streets to teach residents about preventing the spread of the mosquito-borne illness. Chikungunya is spread through the bite of a mosquito, and the department has been running the Fight the Bite campaign. So be on the lookout. All day staffers will be visiting different St. Thomas neighborhoods to talk about protecting yourselves from the mosquito bites and how to keep your surroundings safe from mosquitoes. Bureau of Corrections officials are responding to media reports about their progress on addressing conditions at the Golden Grove prison. Recently, the Federal Monitor, who oversees the agency's compliance of a settlement agreement, released his fourth report. That report found that there has been almost no progress from the last 3 reports. The findings showed that the conditions at the Golden Grove prison promote serious harm, risks to the safety and security of the public, staff, and inmates. BOC's Director Julius Wilson says while they do agree with some aspects of the Monitor's findings, they have been working on all the problems outlined in the report. Specifically, since June, they have made improvements in their physical plant and the medical and mental health services area. They've repaired and installed new locks on all the cells within the housing units. They continue to be challenged by staffing shortages, but the agency recently hired 5 new corrections officers as well. Police are investigating a fatal shooting that occurred this week in the vicinity of Burke's home. The deceased, described as a 52-year-old man. At 7:05, police were called to investigate the roadway near the Burke's home and hospital ground area. The victim was taken to the Schneider Regional Medical Center for treatment. According to the medical staff, the victim was shot several times and died of his injuries. The investigation continues. Please call police if you have any information at 642-8449-911 or Crime Stoppers. Well, again, if you have information about that crime or any of the following crimes or any persons involved, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. You never have to give your name or appear in court. Crime Stoppers USVI will pay a cash reward of up to $2,500. On St. John, on July 15th, about 5:50 p.m., officers received a call that a burglary had occurred at 2-2 Susannaburg. The complainant stated that he secured his residence at approximately 10 a.m. and returned about 5:40 p.m. to find that a screen on the western side of the home's roof had been cut. The perpetrator stole a black iPod on. Now hopping over to St. Croix, the island has been affected, police say, by recent daylight and evening robberies and carjackings across the island. Most recently, a daylight robbery that took place in Frederiksted on Thursday, September 11th. In each incident, they say the perpetrators were described as wearing dark clothing with T-shirts over their faces and using handguns. Several were described as possibly being teenagers. On St. Thomas, on Thursday, August 28th at 7:30 a.m., 3 masked men robbed a victim at gunpoint of over $100 in the Wimmelskaf Gata, which is back street. Police say if you know something, say something. Tell officers what you know about these or any other crimes by logging on to www.crimestoppersusvi.org or by calling 1-800-222-8477. As the general election approaches, the district boards continue to make sure everything is in place. The St. Thomas-St. John District Board met Thursday afternoon. On the agenda were some reports, including a general elections report focused on the inspection and consolidation of polling places. Election Supervisor Carolyn Fox was also scheduled to give a report. During the executive session, the board members looked at some personnel issues as well as legal matters. A similar meeting was held later in the afternoon by the St. Croix District Board. We'll have more on those meetings in a later newscast. The Committee on Culture, Historic Preservation, Youth and Recreation met Wednesday, as we reported, on St. Thomas and approved a measure to move forward with the construction of the Paul E. Joseph Stadium on St. Croix. The bill, sponsored by Senator Sean Michael Malone, passed with 6 yeas and 1 absent. Sport and Recreation Commissioner St. Clair Williams defended the $20 million for the project and encouraged all efforts to move forward.
The implementation and development of the infrastructure, such as the improvement of the track and field facilities, the Paul E. Joseph Stadium project, and the Marseille Indoor Sports Center, are essential in our efforts to make it workable. The Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation looks forward to being a part of this development.
Turning our attention overseas, it's now up to the Senate to pass President Obama's plan to enlist Syrian rebels in the battle against ISIS militants. Some lawmakers are expressing serious concerns. Arming and training the moderate Syrian rebels is part of President Obama's pledge to keep U.S. troops out of a ground war. ISIS is keeping up its propaganda war, releasing a new video of a British hostage who is seen alive. The Obama administration says training Syrian rebels to take on ISIS will take up to a year. Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, the busiest airport in the world is in the Southeast United States. The Airports Council International just released a new study looking at 2,000 airports in 160 countries. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International was the busiest, with 94 million passengers passing through it last year. Beijing Capital ranked second. London Heathrow came in third. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 109, Nasdaq 31, S&P 9. Coming up on News 2, 30 flags representing different countries line the waterfront to welcome some special neighbors who are here to discuss the tourism industry. Details coming up. Public schools were closed on St. Croix today, Thursday, as the Department of Education held a series of professional development workshops for teachers. It continues. All schools on St. Thomas St. John District will be closed on September 19th as well. Teachers, administrators, and support staff are completing the professional development workshops. Again, schools on St. Thomas St. John District will be closed on September 19th, tomorrow, as teachers, administrators, and support staff attend professional development workshops. Well, earlier this week, Commissioner Albert Bryan Jr. shared the announcement from the U.S. Department of Labor of the receipt of over $1.4 million to the Unemployment Insurance Program Integrity, Performance, and System Improvement Activities. The grant funding will be used to allow the VI Department of Labor to upgrade and enhance their unemployment insurance programs by adopting new technologies, ensuring payments are given to those who are eligible to receive them, and by incorporating programs to ensure claimants are provided with the resources to find a new job. This grant funding is intended for system upgrades and not for unemployment benefits of beneficiaries. 46 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico received funding. For the third time in its history, the State of the Industry Conference, or SOTIC, put together by the Caribbean Tourism Organization, was held in the Virgin Islands. Tourism professionals, operators, as well as government agencies from around the region are meeting this week at Marriott's Frenchman's Reef with the theme, Realizing the Vision, Positioning Caribbean Tourism for Major Change. News 2's April Knight has more.
The time is ripe for change in Caribbean tourism. That's according to tourism professionals at this year's State of the Industry Conference. And they're gathered on St. Thomas to make sure the region is poised to take that step.
Really looking at change and what are the things that we need to do as an industry to really invigorate the industry. What are the things that are on the cutting edge?
They bounced ideas on defeating challenges, including the high cost of energy in the region. They agreed the Caribbean is no longer just a sun and sand destination. Each island has to provide an authentic cultural experience that sets it apart from the rest of the region.
The Virgin Islands is unique in the sense that it has so many cultural artifacts. It has so many cultural artists, that if we marshal our resources to highlight the fact that these people are here and are producing, then we can move forward.
If you've been to one Caribbean island, you've been to one Caribbean island. So if you've been to St. Thomas, that's not the experience you're going to get on St. Croix.
One of the messages that struck a chord was how politics and bureaucracy can slow down the industry's progress and how leaders should start running tourism like a business.
Tourism product should transcend any particular political party.
Be pragmatic, be data-driven, be way more technical. Without having an objective to gain votes, you need to gain well-being and prosperity to your people.
But change is in the air, and the Caribbean has a lot to offer the world, they said, and it will take both governments and private companies to usher the region into a new era. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
The 2014 State of the Industry Conference continues until Friday, September 19th at the Marriott's Frenchman's Reef Beach Resort. September 15th kicked off National Hispanic Heritage Month. That's when the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans are recognized. It's also when Hispanic heritage and culture are celebrated. Locally, the VI also celebrates the long-standing friendship between Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. This year is the 50th anniversary of VI PR Friendship Day, so mark your calendars for the big celebration. On Saturday, September 28th, there will be a Thanksgiving service at the Iglesia Sol de Justicia in Castle Colkley at 10 a.m. On Sunday, October 5th, will be a big family fun day at Amapavi Ballpark on the Hovenza Road, and that's from noon to 5. And there's lots more coming up in October. We will keep you posted. Well, 25 years have passed since September 17 and 18, 1989, when Hurricane Hugo struck. The islands were hit hard. St. Croix, of course, was hit the hardest, with more than 90% of homes destroyed or damaged. In September 2009, TV2 presented Hurricane Hugo, The Longest Night, the documentary of a collection of heartbreaking, intimate stories of those who endured the longest night and survived to tell the tale of torment, tribulation, and triumph. CBS TV2 will re-air the documentary. There is no narrator. The entire piece is told from the perspective of residents. You can catch Hurricane Hugo, The Longest Night in its entirety right here on CBS TV2 on Saturday, September 20th from 8 to 9 p.m. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.